obviously I want it to make money, but that's not my goal. It's like, I just want to create the dopest space I can for myself, for other people. And if it wins, it wins. I feel like sometimes if you go into it too much with the mindset of like, oh, we got to hit these numbers and projections.
Well, you know what's funny? That same metric, I think, has made a lot of creators on YouTube very successful. If your only goal is to go viral or to get 1 million subscribers, you won't. But if your only goal is to make really cool videos and cool content and you don't care about the views and videos or the view count and subscribers, naturally that'll happen. So like, I think you're approaching it the right way. If it was just a cash grab, it's like, okay, like, you know, but like by just like, you know what, I just want to make a cool space. And if it makes money, cool. Like obviously you want it to make money, but
no, 100%.
I think some people, when they approach things or get into things for the wrong reasons, like, oh, I'm going to buy this gear because this can make money. It's like, maybe just buy that gear because it's like something you need.
Exactly. And that's how all of the locations started.
It's Tom.
It's Jake. You already know. It's pretty spot on. All right, ready?
We are back for another quick take.
Oh man, it's been a minute, dog. This almost feels like, I don't even know, like it's our first time.
Well, I feel like this year we've like done so many different setups. I think we started was the prison warehouse, and now we did in my office, and then so I appreciate everyone's patience for listening and watching because it's been a lot happening this year for sure.
Yeah, because we've just done. I mean, gosh, how long has it been since we put out our last podcast? A couple months.
It was like May 3rd, I think.
How long is that? Is that 2 months? Yeah. 2 months ago? Yeah, we've just been doing so much. Something we're super focusing on is the streaming service platform for filmmakers. That's been a huge undertaking. And we're in the middle of also, not only doing that, but you were building out a studio. I'm building out this studio here. We're working on a streaming platform. And our goal, was also to create a space here for the podcast. And we kind of got it somewhat set up right now. We're still waiting on some pieces. Like we're having a custom desk built so we don't have this wish.com
it
white
works,
jank.
But I think the wood tones is going to be like kind of its final form. Right now we're at a Charmander. We're about to hit a Charizard. Pretty soon.
Yes, we are. We're about to evolve.
But yeah, no, it's funny because when you like look at or listen to podcasts, like a lot of times people just listen to them back to back and don't even realize that there was like months lapse. But like, yeah, it has been a couple months since we've recorded. So I think we're going to try obviously get back into a rhythm, but just, lots been on the docket. And I figured maybe this episode could be a combination of talking about us collectively building kind of like our dream studio setups because we kind of have done that this year. But also, onset pass and everything from short films and things we've been cooking. So
dude, so much stuff.
I mean, since we are here at One Take Studios, maybe you kind of run the listener and viewer of like what that is and like where we're at right now.
Right. So, man, since I first started coming up with Futuristic, doing all the music videos, for anyone who's followed the journey since the early Buff Nerds YouTube days, like we had always talked about making our own studio, and the time was never right, and there was just always little pieces here and there. But I always knew, especially once we started doing the film locations in LA, I always knew eventually wanted to bring something back to Arizona. And the time we've been looking for like a year, I want to say on and off for like a year. I feel like I'm one of those people. As soon as I walk into a space, I'm either like whether it's a house or a rental property, or like if it's an investment property I'm buying or a house or whatever it is, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like you just have this feeling, and I feel like I've always had that really good gut feeling, and just no space has been like, nah.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked into this building, I was like, oh, this is it.
Was it the layout kind of, or the square footage, or what element did you see like the light switch moment?
I think it was location, square footage, the difference, like a lot of the different. You had big back warehouse space, you had office rooms, you had flex industrial space, you had all these different elements of like, cool, these are going to be film sets, this is going to be the big production warehouse,
cool.
This is going to be the flex space for little set / gear corner, like all, and it just like, I just felt like I saw it. And it just also, when I walked in, I felt like, oh, I could see coming here every day or every other day, or like not only using it for myself, but other people coming here and being like, yo, this is dope. And it just felt like it. There's other spots. As soon as I remember like Chanel and Anna were like the ones heading up, like trying to find the spaces. They'd be like, hey, we got a spot. You want to come see it today? I'd be like, cool. I'd walk in. I'd be like, no. And they'd be like, well, just look around. We set up the time. I'm like, no. let's go.
You know, it's funny. Like last year when I was looking for houses, it was the same exact thing because houses are a little bit different because you're going to be living there. You know what I mean? Maybe, unless it's like an investment property. But yeah, even just looking at some, it's like, you know, right off the rip, if like, I think we're also like, you know, being creative people, like we're visual. So I can already see like, okay, my desk can go there. I'm going to put my, you know, so we can like already see it where some people maybe don't have the vision. So yeah, that's the tricky part about, you know, finding a space because you're going to be putting so much time and effort. I mean, literally yesterday we were hanging this. It's like, you want the space to be right, you know, to do all this effort for nothing would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of look at this space as a couple things. One, I don't necessarily like, I don't need the money, right? So this isn't like by any means, for me, and I can't speak for other parties involved, but this isn't like a money play for me, but like I've just always wanted to build my own studio for the Arizona community to come shoot at, but it's also a space that I want to shoot and create at. And for all of the businesses that we have, you know, Onset Pass, Tropicolor, Prism, anytime we want to do something, we have a space to do it. Yeah. So it kind of like, it doubles as like a space for me to creatively and freely create for our businesses, but for other people to create, and also like just have a spot. Like I've worked out of my house and home for my whole life. Like I'm a independent, like most people, you know, they run their own companies, business, production companies. And so it's like to have a space to like be able to like go to work, shoot at, connect, vibe, whatever. Like we want to do even like go bigger and do like music events here and do like, you know, small music shows with Futuristic hosting those and different things. Like we have so many bigger ambitions and visions for this place outside of just like, oh, rent it for film or photo. Cool. Private events, parties, do some cool stuff. So
let me ask you this, because anyone listening who maybe has kind of like maybe an idea or an inkling of like, I'd love to do the same thing, like build a location in my city, you know, obviously there's some risk attached, right? Because LA, I think goes without saying, like LA is like a hub for filmmaking. Like what kind of gave you, what was like the litmus test, or I don't know if there's a better phrase, but what was the indicator like, yeah, like there is, because I think certain cities, like you can't just go build a studio in the middle of nowhere, like no one would show up. So what let you know that like Arizona was next up? You know what I mean?
It's not that there was nothing that let us know Arizona was next up. It was just like it's something I think myself, Futuristic, and the other partner Ryan wanted to do is create a space in Arizona for creatives, because there's not like, there's a number of like more corporate style, like white psych studio stuff, very high end, but there's nothing that like really caters to the creative, every facet of the creative culture and person in Arizona, whether you're a podcaster, a musician, a photographer, a filmmaker, a commercial product, like just, we wanted to hit every aspect and create a space that was accessible to every level, you know? And I feel like we've done that with our spaces in LA, the spaces we have. It's like, we don't want to like alienate people. And there's not in my opinion, there's not a place here in Arizona that just hits every facet of every level of every style. And so that's something we wanted to create. And I've kind of gotten into it with the mindset of like, look, I don't really care if this, obviously I want it to make money, but that's not my goal. It's like, I just want to create the dopest space I can for myself, for other people. And if it wins, it wins. I feel like sometimes if you go into it too much with the mindset of like, oh, we got to hit these numbers and projections.
Well, you know what's funny? That same metric, I think, has made a lot of creators on YouTube very successful. If your only goal is to go viral or to get 1 million subscribers, you won't. But if your only goal is to make really cool videos and cool content, and you don't care about the views and videos or the view count and subscribers, naturally that'll happen. So like, I think you're approaching it the right way. If it was just a cash grab, it's like, okay, like, you know, but like by just like, you know what, I just want to make a cool space. And if it makes money, cool. Like obviously you want it to make money, but no, 100%. I think some people, when they approach things or get into things for the wrong reasons, like, oh, I'm going to buy this gear because it's going to make money. It's like, maybe just buy that gear because it's like something you need.
Exactly. And that's how all of the locations started. All the film studios locations was with Honeymoon. And it was like, I want to buy a house. I'm going to turn it into a film location. I just want it to pay the mortgage. I didn't look at it as like, oh, I'm trying to make all this money. I'm trying to have it, be successful and blow up. If I can have other people rent it and pay my mortgage, I'm good. and I want to create a space that I would enjoy shooting at and I want to shoot at, and hopefully other people would too.
Yeah.
And then it blew up. And then that led to the Eclectic West, which led to the Barracks, which led to the Lodge, which led, you know what I mean? And so
100%.
it came from a place of just not being that like number crunching, analytical, oh, we have to make money. You know what I mean? I feel like if you do, not saying that doesn't work, but I feel like if you go into anything with that mindset, it also makes it less fun because you're so worried about that stuff. And anytime you set your expectations somewhere and it doesn't reach that, it can be pretty demoralizing. So if you go into it with like, yo, if it pops, it pops. If it doesn't, at least I have a space to create and whatever.
Totally.
Like, and so I just feel like that's how I've always gone into stuff. Even with the Eclectic, it was like, I want to do this. Hopefully people want to come here and rent. I don't want to lose money. Obviously, no one wants to go into a new business venture and lose money. But like, it's just something I was passionate about. I thought it was a cool idea. And it popped. But I've never, and I'm sure you get in touch with this, made a business plan for anything. Have we ever sat down and made a business plan, had a document with all? Never, bro.
And
we
I'm
just
not going to throw shade at that because I know maybe some people maybe aren't as visual. They're more analytical. So like that works for them where I'm a visual driven person, but it's usually been like an idea that like actually like just like legit consumes me. And like I'm like literally,
you got to get it done.
And it's just one of those things like, and I feel like that's actually been the case for anything I've ever really gotten into. Like when I really was getting into Prism, I remember I was like looking up how to drill, how to, you know, do all that stuff. And then I approached you and then, you know, so it's like everything I've ever done, it literally actually like, and I don't know, maybe everyone's different, but like it almost like kind of like takes over your whole bandwidth of your brain.
I think I posted something like that to my story the other day. I was like, I just love to create, like something about having an idea in your head and you're just like, I have to see this through. I have to see this like come to fruition in some way and just working towards it. Like not really caring about like same thing with Prism, like coming up with this idea and like we just started working towards it. But there was never like a sit down meeting between me and you and you're like, hey, this much for this, and we're going to do this. And
return on investment.
Never. It was just like, we had an idea, you had an idea, we collectively worked on something and just kind of grassroots, just like chipped away at it. And next thing you know, it's like, yo, this thing's like popping. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like that's where the most real and organic stuff come from, is having an idea and wanting to see it through and seeing it through without being so number driven.
Here's the thing. I also want to be mindful of people listening and watching who, you know, maybe are, you know, they are working with whatever resources they have. They've been working their 9 to 5. They've been saving. Like, I fully understand where it's like, hey, look, like, you know, this 5K or 10K, this is a lot of money to me. I can't just do it, you know? So I fully understand like wanting to make sure it's profitable. I guess the biggest takeaway is like, if you believe in it, that should be enough. Like if it's an idea that's consumes you can't stop thinking about it. Like your brain, I feel like, is telling you it's a good idea. You know what I mean? And I feel like you sometimes have to like just listen to that little, you know, that little thing in the voice in the back of your head. You know what I mean?
No,
sometimes.
I agree. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you live and you learn. And there's something to take away from every one of those like missteps or failures, right? Like, I mean, even for us with like Buff Beans, right?
Yeah.
Like one of our biggest failures, but it was like an idea that consumed us and we went all in. But it was just like some unforeseen stuff that like made us kind of had to just stop and pivot. Not that we didn't want to stop, but it was like this. I mean, we were so busy doing all these other things. And then that stuff with the CBD and PayPal closing our account. Yeah. It was just like, and at the moment we're doing all, so it's like, but you live and you learn and go, okay, like, yeah, we need to, I don't know. Like there's something to take away from every little failure. And I think it was a cool graphic the other day. I think Zach posted it from some sort of online account, and it had a target and it had all these misses on the target, like not hitting the target. And then it had one that literally was a blank target with no misses. And it said like, you know, this isn't failure, talking about the ones with all the misses. And it said, this is the one where there was no shots taken. And I was like, damn, that's deep cut. Like this is a well-constructed
inspirational graphic.
I was like, wow. I was like, so yeah, taking those shots and failing is not failure. Like you learn from that and you grow from that, but not taking any chances, any risks, any shots, that's failure. You know what I mean?
No, I respect that. I almost want to use this opportunity to pivot to like, I think I'd love to be the fuel or inspiration for somebody who's like working that 9 to 5. They're working that job that's like maybe just really not doing it. And I feel like there's certain people, I can't speak for everybody, that literally go through their whole life kind of stuck in this program or this sort of fixed regiment and never take that risk or take that like actual step or plunge into that one thing that they've always wanted to do. I can't relate because anytime I've ever like wanted to do something, I start to like look up tutorials. I start to like just learn how to do it from it, if it's welding or Steadicam or whatever it is. But I think there's certain people who kind of maybe are a little more reserved and fearful. And yeah, I wonder if like you and I can like kind of give them some ammo to like, you know what? No, do that. Cause I think that's so crucial. There's a lot of people who I think listen to these things like looking like, I just want that fuel, that inspiration. Like I've listened to sometimes even on repeat, not repeat, but like multiple times, like that Joe Rogan and like David Goggins, I think is his name.
Yeah.
And like just listening to him talk is like very inspirational. I think some people like kind of look for that fuel to like, you know what? Yeah, today's the day. I'm going to quit my job and do this thing, which is scary. I'm not going to lie. Like, leaving something that is secure is scary. But like, do you really want to be entering like the final phase of your life just going like, damn, like I wonder what it would have been like if I moved to LA, or I wonder what my life would have been like if I did this thing that like was always itching at you. You know what I mean?
All the biggest, like anything worth doing is like on, the other side of fear. And like, I feel like for us, all of our biggest moves have come on something that's very, can be very scary and like is a huge risk. Like everything we've done, even like this on-set pass stuff, it's like, bro, there's no like trying to build a streaming platform.
Oh, bro.
Like it's like,
I know, daunting.
Like if you were to look at that from the outside, be like, oh yeah, we're building a streaming platform and we're also going to shoot.
Even the people I've told are like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, no, it's gonna be on Roku. It's gonna be on your Apple. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, we found this app. It's like, it's kind of insane actually to think about.
I feel like, and both me and you, correct me if I'm wrong, still approach it from the most like grassroots element ever. Like there's so many people I've seen or been involved with, and I see the way they like organize things and schedule things, and me and you would just be like, yo, so we're gonna like shoot block 2 on this date, and let's shoot this and this show, and it's like, cool, that's a cool idea, let's do it, and we just do it.
Yeah.
Like
I've been on like shoots back when I was like DPing more, where it's like, hey, we need to Zoom the client, and then we're going to scout, and then we're going to actually do a second scout, and then we're going to Zoom. It's like just for like one day of shooting, or me and you sometimes just kind of like, cool, we'll figure it out. And it's not like we're just winging it. Like we do have like intentions and plans and ideas,
right?
But we just don't overthink it to the point where it cripples us.
Right.
And I think that's important because sometimes like, I think the term is called analysis paralysis. Like analyzing too many things can just paralyze you. And sometimes you just have to like go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sometimes obviously,
prep is helpful in certain regards, but like for a lot of what we're doing, like we're so tapped in with like what we want to do. Like it's our shows. It's not like we're shooting someone else's project where we need to have like their vision infused into us. It's like, no, we're just doing our thing. You know what I mean?
Bro, when we watched that episode today of our very first,
I wish there was like a camera on us reacting. Like, so maybe to run it back. Obviously before this episode, the episode prior to this is us talking about Onset Pass. That's obviously what's going to be. You've just heard if you're listening to these. So yeah, Onset Pass, a little recap. It's a streaming service that Jake and I are building. And we've kind of taken our last like 10 years as filmmakers, and like this is like our final form from the YouTube videos you did, the courses we did. It's like, this is now more like the version where this is like, okay, we've arrived. Like this is where we want to put our energy, tutorials, our courses, our shows, like everything, right? And I feel like we've been kind of searching for that platform. Right. And we're like, you know what? Let's just build our own. And we just got one of our partners kind of brings to the table like the full editing suite. He's got the servers. He's super tapped in.
Like a reality show editing team, servers like out in Atlanta. Yeah. So we're handling all the production side of things, from shooting, directing, producing, and then we send everything to this team in Atlanta.
And I'll be honest, like okay, so long story short, we saw like on Frame.io like a rough cut of one of our shows, and that's like when it became like really real.
That was today.
Oh my, yeah, no, literally crazy. Just a few hours ago, I was like, it was so, it's like, it just feels, because we're shooting it, you're like, oh yeah, I feel good about that. But when you actually watch it with like the score and the little like sound cue during, it's like, wow, like this is a show. Like it's literally not a YouTube tutorial, not a Premiere Pro editing hack. This is a show.
A TV show about filmmaking. Literally like a reality game show about cinematography and filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like,
And like, I mean, just talk about that risk maybe for a moment. Like you and I literally just took $100K and we're like, you know what, let's make this thing. And like, I know I don't want to come off as like, oh wow, well I don't have that. It's like me, obviously you and I have worked very hard and saved from our various companies. And like, we just put this money aside. We're like, you know what, let's just commit to this. And we like, just basically put that $100K into production, from the hiring of the crew, booking the locations, hiring the sound guy, everything. And you know, obviously what you're about to see when you watch this in September, October, when it launches, is like that's what we've been doing.
I mean, from the shows, the short films, behind the scenes, there's so much stuff that we've been, you know, working on. And I think it's just it's at its most infant stage right now. It's still very dope, but I mean, the visions for what we want to do.
I mean, the same way like Epidemic and Artlist, companies that I think are so intertwined into filmmaking sort of like workflows now, where it's like, oh, of course, I just need to go on MusicBed, or I just need to, like, those are so integral in sort of the steps and processes of being a creative person. Our goal, and we're really striving to achieve it, is to also be in that conversation of like, oh, of course I have Onset Pass. Like they have tutorials, they have courses, they have shows. And like, that's what we're really trying to build. And look, we all have a Hulu, a HBO, and we all love Westworld and Stranger Things, but like, how cool would it be to tune in and like watch a cinematographer you follow on Instagram, like break down a frame, or watch how certain filmmakers or creatives like built a space from the ground up. So it's like, I think it's going to be not only just the shows, but like the online forum for the creatives, like the contest, the gear. I mean, there's
I'm excited for the horror film contest, which obviously, you know, for those who have followed me closely over the years and everything we've done, like,
definitely stay tuned. It's going to be probably the biggest year we've ever done.
We just shot our own example film for the short horror film contest, which will be on exclusively on the Onset Pass platform, but it's our example film for the rules of the contest this year. It's going to be crazy amount of prizes and cash and everything. And
but not only that, but like the winners, like first, second, we're going to do a video, obviously, that's going to go out, and this is gonna be way more detailed. But for anyone who's like familiar with the contest, like first, second, and third, those films are gonna live on the streaming service. So you could like have your film
on a streaming service,
live on the stream, like,
and it will be a legit streaming service. Like when we say streaming service, it's not just like, oh yeah, these videos
go to
are on YouTube.
Safari.com. Like you can load it on like a Roku, an Android. Like it's we have these developers we hired, and they were also like another $100,000 to like build out this whole thing. But they literally build these apps. Like that's what they do, and like that's what's so crazy.
And so that's what we want people to understand too, is if you have an idea and you really believe in it, to go after it. But also like what we're doing is not some little like cash grab thing. We are spending our hard-earned money to make stuff that will hopefully entertain, inspire, inform, educate the filmmaking community, and also give filmmakers an opportunity to make the content they want to make and have it live on a platform for the world to see. Like,
I think the coolest
and have us pay for it.
The coolest component, obviously, we're going to be making cool shows for it that obviously we hope people get a lot out of. But if you're a filmmaker, maybe you're limited in resources, but you just have this idea that's been itching at you, but you just don't have the funds or the gear or the crew. Like we're literally going to be awarding $5 to $10K a month to someone who pitches an idea. We're like, you know what? This is an amazing idea. We'll wire you the $10K. You'll shoot that film. That film will go on our streaming service, and we'll send out a BTS crew. They'll document the whole process, and that whole behind the scenes will also live on the platform. So now other filmmakers can get inspired. I mean,
by other filmmakers.
Just to give some context, like literally a Kimtech, which is a wipe for a lens, and a Pancro spray is like $30-$40. We're literally charging $9.99. Like that's $10. Like, I mean, to give some context,
Chipotle. If you were to go to have lunch at Chipotle today, that is going to cost more than what this platform will cost you a month.
I mean, we are probably really underpricing it.
But not even. I mean, here's
really
the thing. Underpricing
MusicBed, and this isn't even a distant MusicBed. They have probably out of all of them, like they have a really good catalog. It's $99 a month. It's like, yo, you know what I mean?
Dude, should we raise the price? I mean, like, dog, that's
I don't know,
crazy.
But that would go against everything we've done. Like, dude, Tropicar, we launched in 2017. We have all these companies from Magic Bullet Looks charging $3.99 for the year. And we're like, you know what? We could do that, or we could just launch these at like $29. And we've always approached things. Prism Lens Effects. You have Tiff and Schneider, all these big dogs in the game. $4.99. We're like, you know what?
For a filter, for a piece of glass.
And we'll charge $79. We've never approached it like, yo, cash grab, let's huge markup. We've always tried to approach things from like our DNA of like, you know what? we came up as an indie filmmaker, like trying to just afford a new lens or a shoulder rig or whatever. So like, let's make this shit affordable, you know? So yeah, I think there's enough content in there from the giveaways and all that stuff, but I don't know. I think there's something about just making it so accessible that
that's really our main goal. Cause it's like the amount of stuff that we're going to be offering and the amount of time that it's going to take from us, time, money, everything from our team to keep this thing alive, to make it happen, run, shoot, all that stuff, / not only like, giving out budgets, but giving away gear, all that stuff. It's going to take an immense amount of all of that. And like, it's, in my opinion, far worth more than what we're trying to charge, you know, but like, we want it to be accessible to everyone. We've
always approached anything, even from our courses. It's like, look, there are online cinematography courses that are like $1,000, and we're like, you know what, we'll just do 200. And like, it was probably worth that money, but we've always approached like, I'd rather have a lot of people view it for, you know, a lower price point than like 5 or 10 people viewing it at this extreme high price point. So yeah, I think that's just always kind of been like our kind of brand DNA. It's just making it accessible, and just, I'm pumped for it. So
no, I mean, watching that episode, we literally probably like paused it like 20 times and just like
to like look at each other like, bro.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. So right now, obviously we're recording this like, you know, somewhere in July. These will be viewable and sometime in September. So it's coming.
Right.
But at the moment of just viewing the rough cut, we're pretty excited. So.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, we kind of talked about my studio a little bit. I mean, we didn't get into it crazy, but like, I mean,
well,
we touched on it a little bit.
I kind of did the same thing for a spot in LA where we recorded a couple times, very similar sort of setup, with the wall and whatnot.
What was like, again, like your reasoning behind getting that spot?
So as like Tropic and Prism naturally have like moved to Arizona, like I feel like my role in at least Prism has kind of, I can't go down to Prism every day and pack orders. I literally live in another state. So I feel like my role has kind of evolved into like more like website backend, making sort of like content, ads, videos. And part of making these videos for Prism, like I really do care about like making them look good to where people are like, oh, I have like definitely standards, and I didn't want to just like film it randomly like in my bedroom So, and I had like a office in my sort of like house, and it's just like, I remember like it took an hour or two to set up the backdrop and the light and the mic, and I recorded what I needed to record. And then my fiance was like, all right, cool. So you're going to take that all down, right? Cause like, obviously I need to like use this room too. And I was like, so it's just like 3 or 4 hours just went into the build, the shoot, and the teardown. And I had to do that all the time. I was like, you know what? I'm losing so much time. So I was like, I'd rather just literally have everything set up to where I literally just flip a switch and the lights pop on. I sit down in a setup much like this and just record what I need to do and then leave, you know, and just take the SD cards with me. So that was kind of the initial intent, was just to have a space where I can do that. And we've gone down there for just to, you know, I've got other little aspects. I like do all the fulfillment for the Tropical, like master bundles and stuff. So yeah, I honestly kind of came out of just necessity and ease of use. And I actually don't have any intentions of like doing like a Peerspace or Gigster, just because it's like a lot of my gear, like I actually store a lot of my like Steadicam stuff there. So it's like if a rando just like went in for a shoot and just like walked away with my like, you know, so it's more just for me, you know, where I think this room's kind of for you, but the rest of the space is for like whatever. But like my room isn't much bigger than this. So it works out for what I need. So
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty helpful and instrumental in just a lot of like the stuff that we need to do for Tropic and Prism. It's like, yo, we really need a UGC explaining this new product, or a tutorial, or like, yo, we have to record an ad for that. And you pop down, you record it, you send it to me, I edit it, boom,
it's
done.
Been a good
like,
workflow. Yeah. No, honestly.
And it's like, without that space for you to do that, it's like, just so many.
Yeah, because I feel like over the last couple of years, you and I have learned a lot about the advertising side of things, from Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing. I'm sure some of you watching have probably seen our ads. Even like my friend group's like, yo, I saw you pop up on my Instagram. So like, we really do understand like the value of advertising. It just, at a certain point, all of your followers, all of my followers, they know who we are. And out of that follower group, chances are whoever was going to buy and support you in your friend group or follower group has. So like the idea of advertising is to like reach other spheres of people who have no idea who you are, who the brand is. And obviously you and I have like learned that the ads and recording, you know, videos a lot of the time are very impactful. So that's kind of a lot of what I've been doing at my space. But no, it's been cool. We've both kind of built the spaces that we've always wanted as filmmakers,
Right.
you know, and creatives, because we've rented other spaces, but to have a space that's like very much your own, there's something really cool about that. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like you can come down here like, that's my podcast setup, or that's my
Right.
recording spot. And
there's something about
cool,
it. It's just,
you know?
it just feels, it hits different. You know what I mean? Like, walking in here, unlocking that door every day and like walking in and just being like, this is my spot. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just not renting someone else's or doing that, like having, and I mean, it's cool, but it's like, it takes a lot to get there too.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's not super, I mean, I've been working even on this spot for, like 2 months straight, just like on and off every other day, every day, doing something that revolves around this. And there all always be little things that need to be done to it. But,
and anyone listening too who's like inspires, like, oh, I want to do that. Like, look, this is like what, 7,000 or 8,000 square feet. Like
7,
yeah. I mean, that's pretty large. I mean, like anyone listening, you could start. My little office in downtown LA is like 700 square feet. Like you don't have to go so big. Like I obviously want some of this information to be obtainable, where it's like, look, you can start small. Like you can get a little room.
First barrack spot. How big was our first barrack spot?
I think 2,500.
2,500.
Still relatively small for studio space.
Yeah, and then we started there because it was like, you don't want to. I think one of the big things is you don't want to bite off more than you can chew right out the gate.
Yeah.
Like you can always grow into something, and with the barracks,
I mean,
we
it's good to have
started
ambitions,
smaller.
but like to a degree, you don't want to be so ambitious that it's just it escapes you. You know.
So we started smaller, and then it just grew into like, all right, we're ready to expand, and then we were able to expand, and now we got 4,500, 5,000 somewhere in there. So it's like, you can always grow and expand, and then leverage that into another new space or whatever. And I don't know, but even with this space here, I knew I didn't want to go like too small. I didn't want to go too crazy big.
You just feel like you've already outgrown it off the rip.
Exactly. So I felt like, the spaces in LA we have, I think kind of cap out around 5,000. And it's like, all right, I want to do more than 5.
I also feel like Arizona, you can get way more square footage. I mean, you're in like a whole business park where we were obviously at Barracks and Honeymoon, like working in like a preset like building.
Yeah, we kind of, in those buildings, we like, it's a little different, and it's a little more affordable here, where I think in LA it's definitely over
like $1 square foot,
over $1 square foot, or around $1. Here it's under that, so
50 cents probably.
But again, you're talking about a market where there's not as much productions all the time. Like in LA, productions all the time, so like that $1 square foot or more kind of gets equaled out, because here in Arizona you're not going to have productions like that all the time. So it's
that's something to be mindful when you're listening, because if you're like maybe in New Mexico or a city where like, you know what, there's no studios here, there also might be a reason there's no studios there. So you have to kind of like,
100%.
I mean, I think there's your fingers on the pulse. Your business partner is Zach, who's a big artist in this town. It's like, there is, I think you guys know that there's stuff, inner workings and, other little studios, but that isn't to say that if you're in like a small city with no peer spaces or Gigsters or wherever you're going to host this, be mindful that maybe
there's a reason for that.
Maybe there is no so just be mindful of that. I guess all to say for sure. But funny thing, and then we can maybe end this off as we're talking about expanding Barracks. I don't think we ever shared actually what happened with the original Barracks.
Oh yeah, I don't
probably
think so.
one of the craziest stories ever. And this is also to say that everything's not just sunshine and rainbows. Like there's some crazy stuff that like out of the whim we just have to like, okay, wait. Okay, we have to figure this out. Literally it was during COVID. We had our space for probably even just 8 months at Barracks, and it was crushing. It was doing like probably 20 to 30 grand a month, just absolutely crushing. Booked every single day, 3 to 4 times a day. I was like, holy crap. And this is during COVID. So obviously like we're trying to like be as safe as we can. Okay, cool. Crews can come in, wear your mask. Well, we were leasing this like red building, this giant kind of hangar space inside of downtown LA. And it was kind of like a WeWork, but like more lo-fi, where like there's also like other shared spaces.
Tenants and stuff.
And the other tenants just did not like the rough crowd, like the Hummers being parked, the people smoking weed in the parking lot. And the owner, which later I found out just kind of went insane, but like he just was like, yo, like I see your people aren't wearing masks and da-da-da. Long story short, he hit us on the whims like, yo, you're out by in 30 days. You have to pack up and leave. And I was like, wait, like we've literally like took photos, filed a LLC. Like there's a business around this building. Like, what do you mean we have to be out in 30 days? Like, no, you're gone. And
we got evicted. Yeah. We literally got, I don't think we've ever told the story. Like we were forced to leave, and
it was terrifying.
Bro, we were like, what are we going to do, bro? Like what? And
I
like,
know. Yeah.
But
Well, not only that, because like we've also sunk money, like probably 8 to 10K in the Asteras and all the gear there. So it's like, oh, but the tables, the chairs, the plexi table, like we had, I kind of put a lot of resources into making this thing successful.
man.
And I mean, this is that thing where in business, you're going to have those days, no matter what business you do,
Yep.
where it's like, you know what? This sucks.
Everything's falling apart. It feels like the sky's falling.
You know, and it's so easy to give up. We could be like, you know what? Let's close Barracks and just put our priorities elsewhere. We're like, you know, we just like, we figured it out. We
Pivot.
went on this like website called LoopNet, which is kind of like the Zillow for industrial buildings in LA.
Right.
Found another warehouse like literally 10 minutes down the road, half the price, double the square footage. And within 2 months, we were back and running and literally were making twice as much as Barracks.
Then, we built a bunch of sets because we wanted to like grow and expand, and we couldn't really in the other spot. So we were able to get a bigger spot, build some sets that we wanted to do, open up, and it just took off again.
I remember there was like that week where we were cutting the sheet metal,
oh my gosh,
building that honestly kind of, I mean, I'm not going to compare myself to Steve Jobs, but I was like, you know, like you hear that story, right? Of like Steve Jobs and his co-founder in their garage, like just bootstrapping it, right?
Yeah.
Like they're building the computers, making Apple what it is now today, and obviously expand it. It was like, I felt like that was our Apple moment where it was like, I was like, had the saw,
the
you were
scissors.
cutting the metal, sheet metal.
It's
And like
brutal.
now you walk in, it's like, wow, this is like a complete space, but that all happened in a month.
Yeah.
Not only that, but we were also moving the prison warehouse here
to Arizona.
and this is in the middle
gosh.
of COVID too. It was just that 2020 is wavy, bro.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, I just had to share that because you're like,
time.
oh yeah, we expanded Barracks, and I was like, wait, the listener or viewer probably doesn't know that
We
story.
need to like find someone to like cut these little podcast interviews down too to like little social pieces and stuff too, because there's so many good little stories and sound bites that people I feel like need to hear.
Well, I just don't want like us to come off like, oh wow, everything they talk about is all their success. Like, no, there are some. We've even have a
100%.
dedicated episode. If you're new to this, scroll back, like our business failures.
Yeah.
And this story wasn't on there, but dude, there's a lot. There's moments where it's like very sobering, where you're like, holy fuck. Like, but what's cool is those moments force you, like they absolutely force you to like have tunnel vision to figure it out.
Yeah,
and like
solve
that figuring it out tends to actually lead to better results.
But I think that also it depends on who you are, right? You could either be the type of person that takes those hits and blows and be like, you kind of lay down and give up, or you're the type of person that's like, I'm gonna figure
and
this.
look, sometimes the writing's
out.
on the wall. If it's just not working, like, look, don't go sink more and get a loan and get into like crippling debt. Like sometimes it's like, you know what? Maybe this is the universe telling me it's not right. Like bubblegum, for instance, the universe was like, you know what? Let's cut the ties. But I feel like Barracks, we knew it was working. It was more of a logistical thing of the lease. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, that was a crazy moment for sure. But yeah, I mean, just kind of wanted to hop back in the mix. We're in the new studio. So yeah, if you're watching, we are inside of, One Take Studios in Arizona. This will be the look unless we're in Los Angeles for a Splinter episode. But yeah, we're going to obviously try and hop back into be more frequent.
We'll try and be more frequent. We want to get the new setup going. Still got a little bit of tweaking to do, but yeah, we finally, like we said at the beginning, a lot of pivoting, and we're finally getting settled. So hopefully we can bring you guys a lot more just consistent podcast episodes, because we do enjoy it. And we, hopefully, you guys like, comment, subscribe, engage, share, because like the more that this gets out there, it just makes it easier for us to like just pop in and do stuff.
No,
like
100%.
And we like to hear that it's helping people. If you're getting something out of it and you don't engage and let us know, it's hard for us to even realize that we're reaching someone. You know what I mean? Like if it's crickets, and even if you're getting something out of it, but you don't say anything, or you don't share, you don't comment like, yo, I loved when you guys talked about this. It's, we don't know that you're seeing it. We don't know who's getting information out of it. So it really does help.
Even
to
a comment on YouTube, or a comment
anything
in like a review format on the podcast app. Like, yo, would love that episode. Would love if you dived into this, because that informs like our curriculum, if you will, of like, cool, let's do a whole episode on that.
100%.
So, well, yeah, it's been a quick take. Been fun to hop back in the mix, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Sheesh.